Hello all. The first book I'm going to be reviewing today for my YA project is Call Us What We Carry by Amanda Gorman. This book is a collection of poems, and I'll talk more about that in a second, but it was published in 2021, and it is focused mostly on the events of 2020 from COVID all the way through BLM protests, riots, to political unrest, civil unrest, all of those types of things. But throughout it, there is a lot of focus on the importance of writing and of the written word and of history and things like that. So I think this book is mostly for upper high school, honestly, maybe even young college. I don't really know how much 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds could grasp from this. There's a variety of different types of poems, but I think that it's probably geared more towards older, more mature students. Otherwise, they're not really going to get the full purpose. Even though they can understand it, I don't think they would make the connection that Amanda wants us to make. But for some of the literary qualities, the style and language of this book is obviously chocked full of figurative language. It also has a variety of different poems. She includes a lot of like concrete poems, of pattern poems, and she's here's one. And she's very intentional about like the shape of her poems, and then also with the way she spaces things out, and her focus on, like, she uses a lot of asterisks, like things like this. So over here you can see her spacing is different with each stanza, and then like a pattern over here. It's very intentional with her words, and her language is a really good mix of like colloquial and intellectual, and I think that relates more to tone than style, so I'll talk about that in a second. But because of the variety of like long poems to short poems, or concrete or pattern, most of them are free verse, and so the pacing goes really well. It's not like a traditional list of poems in like a textbook or like a Norton. It's very broken up, so you could have some poems that are like 4 lines, or some that are like 5 pages. So the pacing is really good. It's not overwhelming. She also, I wish I marked it, but she also breaks up sections of kind of based on topics. Like, it starts out talking about carrying, and it uses a lot of like ship metaphors, fishing, kind of moving towards something, and then it kind of breaks up with different events that she wants to address, like COVID or like BLM or things like that, and then later she talks about like how, like, a resolution of how do we fix all these things, but they're all divided, not by chapters, because there's no like table of contents, but like by this. She'll have like a quote or a poem from somebody else and like a topic, and so I think breaking that up helps the pace as well. And then the tone is very honest. It doesn't feel like she's sugarcoating anything, and so I think that to young students, to high schoolers, to college students, that feels really real. And it makes it very relatable, and I think she does a really good job too of mixing like intellectual references. She has a lot of historical allusions, and she talks a lot about like etymology and things like that, and so I think adding those things in to the shorter, more contemporary, kind of pop culture-y feeling type of language makes it feel more like academic and less kind of like a slam poetry kind of thing, and so I think that her mix of information and emotion is very relatable, and that tone is very honest, and it shows kind of who she is as an author and a person, as well as addressing these topics. And so obviously, justification for this book, it's honest, it's raw, kids are gonna like it, and I also think that when students read poetry like this, that doesn't feel really form-fitted because it is mostly free verse. They're not like trying to count their iambic pentameter or anything like that. It's motivating for them to try and write because it feels achievable. Like, it feels like this is something I could do, or like this is a way that I could express something. And so I think when a book is like that, it is inspiring to creativity, but also encouraging them to try in writing on their own. And so since it's so relatable. I think it's likely to be highly circulated. I also think that it's a comfortable introduction to poetry, or like a comfortable poetry read. Like, it's not hard to understand. I think it might be hard to grasp the full meaning of what she's trying to communicate if the kids don't have a lot of like life experience, or they didn't like experience these things. But I still think that it's a good introduction to poetry because it's not overly complicated. But I think it's good. I think it's definitely for older high school, but I did really like it. If I had to rate it, I'd probably say 4 out of 5. There are definitely some poems that are better than others, and some that are like, maybe could have been cut, but overall, I really like it. It's a good poetry book, and it's good for YA students. Thank you.